This would be the 2025 Subaru Forester, and yes, it is significantly redesigned this time around. Looks almost nothing like the last version. That is rare for this brand, so kudos to kind of taking some risks, although I will say I see a lot of resemblance to Ford's family of SUVs here. Now, again, I said it doesn't look like it, but it kind of does. The same shape. The thing that's made the Forester so popular over the years, that big, boxy shape, nice and upright, massive windows. There's actually better outward visibility here, especially the rear three-quarter glass. It's a little bit lower, 40 millimeters, I think, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in terms of those outward views, every little bit helps, just makes it that much safer. You can keep an eye on what's going on around the vehicle. That's the name of the game here. As far as the drive goes, well, I would say this is Forester-er. It just feels more like the Forester, more of the good stuff. This is one of the smoothest driving crossovers in this segment. It's not exciting, even this sport trim that I am driving right now, but it is just buttery out here on these winding roads. A little bit more road noise than I'd like, but other than that, it is smooth, comfortable, and relatively quiet. One big disappointment at launch, no hybrid. Yes, Subaru has been promising a hybrid powertrain for the Forester since this thing debuted, but it's not ready yet. Subaru Canada's reps say a year from now is about when we will see that hybrid Forester. That means the only powertrain, the same one as before, a 2.5-liter horizontally opposed four-cylinder, a boxer engine. So basically, the pistons are flat. They run side to side instead of up or down like you might expect in something like a Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4. Kind of unique here. It's the only crossover like it that has this engine style, virtually unchanged from last time. There's actually 2 less horsepower than before, but 2 more pound-feet of torque. So it's 180 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. And it does what you need it to. Nothing more, nothing less. So not exactly exciting, whether that's your cup of tea or not. Well, let's be honest, the days of the Forester XT are long dead and gone, but this thing is surprisingly peppy. The numbers aren't huge, but it'll do the job. There's also a couple different drive modes. In the sport one, you get a sport sharp, so a little bit more throttle response. The CVT, it does what it needs to. It does get a little buzzy. I do think this brand has them dialed in better than just about anyone else. Not perfect, but it does what it needs to, and so does this vehicle overall. As you guys can see, I've got all kinds of room in here. That tall shape makes all kinds of headroom up here. Same with the second row. There's also a ton of cargo room. Now, this thing is just about identically sized to its predecessor. Cargo room, pretty good. I wouldn't say it's spectacular, but it does enough for families on the go. A family of 4, you should find all the space you need in here. Features too, there's a good amount of stuff. There's more than there was last time. If you take a look at the Premier, there's now ventilated front seats, so it's sort of keeping up with the Joneses. But pricing, well, that is also keeping up with some of the more expensive entries on the market. So the base trim, well, it's actually relatively affordable. It's about $33,500 before freight and tax. But then when you take a look at the Touring, so the second trim, that is a big step up, a $5,000 jump. It's $38,500. And then when you take a look at this Sport that I'm driving, that's $41,500. And it gives you some cool stuff. I actually really like these bronze accents instead of the orange ones that came on the last version of the Sport. I think it looks really cool, but it is a little bit stripped down. Upholstery and stuff, not so bad, but not a ton of features. You do get heated front seats, but no heated rear seats. I guess it does have an upgraded stereo, which is kind of cool. It also has this massive, I think it's an 11.6-inch touchscreen. It's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto capability, but that's the same as the Touring, which is cheaper. No, it doesn't have the looks, but it's got the goods in terms of equipment. Then there's the limited trim that's $43,000, and the Premier is $45,000. Again, like I said, that is creeping up there. into quite expensive territory for a crossover this size. But at the same time, it's got all kinds of advanced safety systems, including a new one that will stop the vehicle if it detects an unresponsive driver with the adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist system active. And that is great. Yeah, it is sort of a one-off scenario. It is worst case, but it's good to prepare for those and know that your vehicle has your back. This thing has 3 cameras behind the windshield to keep an eye on what's going on. And all the systems, well, they're hallmark Subaru, and they do what they need. Am I impressed with this thing? Yeah, relatively speaking, although I do wish Subaru would have really elevated the game here, because there's nothing spectacular, nothing standout. It does nothing better than a RAV4, than a CR-V. Then the last version of the Forester, that hybrid powertrain, really is what's going to kind of put it over the goal line in that regard. So until then, well, this thing is keeping up with the Joneses, but nothing more.